Hello, and welcome to the first of our online sessions from Music Leads live streams. This panel discussion we're about to have was supposed to be the opening panel for our Launchpad conference, which was going to happen about a week and a half ago. And the idea of this panel was really to bring together some great people, great musicians, great artists who've received support through the Music Leads Launchpad project last year, but also either they came to that or they've been to different projects by working with quite a few different organisations and funders as well. So when we couldn't, when it became clear we couldn't do the conference, obviously we've been looking at other things we can do to support the local music community. And we quickly realised that it would still be good to try and do this panel. So I'm really pleased that all the original speakers who were going to be on it are able to join us tonight. We're also joined by Emily Pilbeam, who will be leading the conversation tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Emily and everyone else, and I hope we're about to have a really great discussion. Thanks.
Thanks, Whiskers. Yep, so I'm Emily Pilbeam. I host BBC Introducing in West Yorkshire. And like Whiskers was saying, we're just kind of talking about the Launchpad Open Call that happened last year. These 4 artists were successful on the Launchpad last year. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and how they benefited from it. And also they've been supported by other organisations and funders as well. So we'll be dipping into that too. If you're watching this and you've got any questions, then I think you can just comment. And we'll get to them at the end. So if there's anything that you want to ask about it, please do comment. But first, I think we'll just get each artist to introduce themselves and kind of discuss the support that they've had and who they've had it from. So we'll start off with Linz.
This might take a while. Hi, everybody. I'm Linz Wilson. I'm a musician. My band's called Magic Mountain, which is what's received support from Music Leads Launchpad and some other things. I'm also a cellist, so I do some soundtrack work and sort of experimental sound design and things. I also work part-time for Music Leads.
Emma, do you want to introduce yourself and the support that you've had in Galaxians?
Yes, so I'm Emma Mason. I'm one of 3 people in Galaxians. I'm also a cabaret performer all over the UK. Oh. And we had Launchpad supports. We received that last year, and we've had support from Help Musicians as well this year. So
amazing. Armani, do you want to introduce yourself and talk about the support you've had?
Hi, I'm Armani Anderson Hamilton. My artist name is Marnz. I've had support from Music Leads, Black Music Festival, and they've really helped my artistry grow as a solo artist. And I really benefited from one-on-one sessions with Scott to do like music promotion leading up to launches of my music and my singles release. So very good support from all these different companies.
Amazing. And Jemma, you just want to talk about the support you have had and what you're up to.
Hi, so I'm Jemma Freese, and my project, I've got a few projects, but this project that I got with Launchpad is Frisco, and a few other projects of mine are Frisco and DOMI. So with Frisco, we've also had support from Jazz North and Manchester Hot House Scheme as well. And yeah, the support from Music Leads has been really good. And thanks to them, we got a music video premiered on Loud Women, which was like a really thing.
I think it's interesting to talk about kind of what place you were in as artist before you started, before you got the funding, really, because I think you were all kind of at different points, really. So what kind of point were you at with Magic Mountain, Linz, and what kind of got you to the level where you did to get support?
So when we applied for Music Leads Launchpad, It was like last springtime. We'd actually just had some support from the Rebalance program, which is set up by PRS Foundation and Festival Republic, and that gave us a week of free recording time at Old Chapel Studios in Leeds, and also gave us the opportunity to play at Latitude Festival last summer, which is amazing. And so we'd started recording we'd used that week to start recording our debut album. So when we applied for Music Leeds Launchpad, we were kind of hoping to get some support in planning an album release, basically, and how to move forward with that, whilst we were also like partly self-producing the album ourselves, and just sort of seeing what paths we could take that maybe wasn't the traditional route into the industry with label support and things, and just try and almost like piece it together from different places. So that was about the same time as we also were applying for the we got Help Musicians Do It Differently funding, like Galaxians did, and that was in the summer as well. So it all kind of came together around sort of middle of last year. And I think we were, really just planning to figure out how to release the album, which we are still doing. But we got support from Scott again as well, doing mentoring. So he's really helped us sort of work out what we want, what we've been trying to do, look at different options. And him and Tony from Come Play With Me also helped support the Help Musicians Do It Differently funding application. So that was really helpful as part of the kind of mentoring. And that's kind of where we got to, I guess.
It kind of sounds like you were at a point where you knew where you were, you knew who you were as an artist, and knew the help that you needed. Is that kind of the same for you, Emma, in Galaxians? Was that where you were at?
Yeah, that was the exact point we were at. We were creating our second album. We were actually at that point already thinking about applying for funds from somebody, and we were looking at the PRS Momentum Fund, but we realised we just weren't at that point, that wasn't appropriate for us. So the Launchpads couldn't have come up at just a more perfect time, because it just came across it. We'd already started gathering a bit of information, stuff about our bio, sort of what we're all about, Discogs, all that sort of thing. And it wasn't an intimidating application, which was great. So we could kind of do that and get that in quite quickly. Again, we know who we are as artists, and we knew where we wanted to go, but we just knew there was some things that we weren't able to do, like we couldn't self-fund PR and marketing for ourselves. We couldn't, we didn't know enough about publishing and syncing, and we knew we were missing a trick on so many platforms, but we just didn't really know where to begin with that. So Launchpad, the mentoring was just perfect. And then that just led us into this application with Help Musicians and the Do It Differently Fund, which we were successful at, obviously, and we've it's just really transformed. Like we're right in the middle now of our sort of project plan, which we're sticking to the letter, and we're about to release the first single on the new album online. That'll be this month, and it's really exciting. And we've got PR and marketing support. We've got our publishing and syncing sort of in hand. It's just really exciting. It's like a whole taking things to a new level for us, and we're really excited about what all that might mean.
Yeah, and publishing and syncing is kind of a bit of a nightmare to try and get your head round as well. So I guess it helps with that as well. And you mentioned the PRS Momentum Fund, is that right? Did you apply for that?
We didn't. We took a lot of advice about that, but we just weren't at the right. We were just probably, if we got a bit more successful, maybe had some management or something, that would be the next stage. But we're not there yet. So, these funding streams, this advice that we're getting is just spot on for what we need right now. Yeah,
amazing. Armani, what kind of place were you at before you got the funding from Launchpad? Where were you at as an artist?
Well, me as an artist, I kind of begun again last year with applying for the Black Music Festival unsigned competition, and previously before that having an interview with yourselves and alongside other artists as well, like Alex Robinson as well. So with that radio interview and then applying for Black Music Festival and then obviously winning that competition, that kind of re-engaged me into music because I kind of lost the passion for it beforehand. And then winning that competition and then going on to applying for the Launchpad with Music Leads, with Scott and Whiskers, they kind of like guided me to have that confidence and put my music out more regularly and have faith with it and give me like a structured plan into releasing music and not just throwing it out there so you can get like audience attention to it. So I was kind of at a place where I was just starting again. But since the help that I've received has been given to me, I feel like I can go further and I know who I am as an artist now. So I just need to go from strength to strength, really.
Very positive. What about yourself, Jemma? Where were you at? Because obviously you're in various different projects. So what kind of point were you at with Freeze Trio before you got the funding?
I think because this was the band that was all mine, whereas the others are kind of split between us, this felt more personal. And I always found this project the hardest to put forward and put on social media because I was just quite, I guess, I felt quite insecure about it. So I think this Launchpad scheme has kind of helped me have more faith in it. And also because of the other support that I've received before has been like more jazz, has always been jazz stuff. So this is the only scheme that I've got, which is kind of like has accepted all genres. And I really, really, really like that. It means that I get people, different kinds of people get to meet, and it kind of feels like I don't have to label myself as something either, which I'm not really put under that genre because Freeze Trio is quite a mixture. So it's kind of helped me again, like kind of redefine or figure out like what genres I call my own project, and also just having a bit more like faith in it as well.
Oh, lovely and positive. And it sounds like everyone was kind of at different points as well in their career, which is quite interesting because like Emma was saying, usually with things like the PRS funds, there's kind of usually like a level that you have to be at to get to get that funding. So I think it's really great that Launchpad is just kind of like a bit for everyone, really. Lynn, you applied for funding for kind of to help with your album, right?
Yeah, so the Help Musicians Do It Differently Fund was to help support the album. So because we'd got the Rebalance week of recording, we were then trying to figure out how else to record the rest of the album, because we managed to get drums and bass down for about 8 tracks and some of the guitars, but not everything. So we did all the guitars and vocals ourselves, but we still needed to finish a bit of recording and get it mixed and mastered. So the fund that we applied for, the actual money has gone towards, it's paid for the rest of the mixing, mastering, and it'll go towards vinyl production, a bit of press and PR as well. So it's kind of covering a lot of the bits where you just don't really know where to get money from if you don't have a label, or if you can't self-fund it, if you don't earn much or have savings and things. So it's been a really helpful fund, like practically, but I think also it's important to say about the business advice sessions, and that goes along with the mentoring sessions with Launchpad. Like the business advice sessions from Help Musicians have been like really helpful. Like we've had 2 full afternoon sessions, one with like a marketing advisor, another one with a business advisor, talking about everything from direct to fan social media strategies and like connecting with your audience, about building your vision, or about contracts or lawyers, or when to get people involved and that kind of side of things. So that's all been very interesting, and really, I think it really helps just to be open to learning and to try and like be a bit more self-sufficient. It means you have to put in quite a lot of work to like learn stuff, and it's a bit overwhelming trying to be everything, you know, trying to be the musician and maybe the manager and looking at contracts and doing the artwork. But it's also really positive to be in control of it and to not owe anyone anything, and to be the rights holders as well, like, you know, because we've not had that paid for by a label, where we own the master rights, and that's something that's really valuable for a starting out artist, or any artist really. So yeah, I think all of that is really helpful. We're also about to do some healthy touring workshops, which is a little bit well, it's a little bit weird right now, but you know, they're talking about mental health and physical health and vocal health, and there's these workshops. So like all of that extra support is what they're doing, and I think that's been really, really, really helpful so far.
Yeah, I think it's good to talk about, because obviously it's not just like the financial side of it that you know, the Launchpad thing is helping with. There's other opportunities, there's live opportunities, which I believe Galaxians, you benefited from some of the live opportunities, is that right?
Oh yeah, that's right. Sadly, they're all cancelled, which is, you know, obviously horrendous. But yeah, we were offered I think we were offered an event at Millennium Square that unfortunately we couldn't do. We were double booked for that, but we were going to be playing live at Leeds at Hi-Fi, and that was super exciting. I don't know if some of this stuff's going to be postponed, hopefully. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, it just feels like the support you get from Music Leeds, it's just, they just seem to have just cover all the bases. Really, it was the mentoring we specifically sort of went in for, and then all these other opportunities have come out of it. And I think, you know, when I look back now, sort of reflecting on this 9 months, I mean, it's only actually been 9 months, not even a year, just how much support we've had and how many conversations we've had with different people. And it's kind of like Lindsay's saying, kind of covering the, you know, that business side, understanding the industry, how to make the most out of you know, how to make the most money out of your songs and get them out there. But it's also that well-being stuff as well. Just, it's really you know, Scott and Whiskers in particular are so fantastic, and they're so lovely to hang with, and they just, you know, they're so interested in really getting to the core of what you want as a band, and, you know, you just feel like they're really trying to help you. So it's amazing. We've had a great time over the last 9 months with them and help musicians. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, they're good guys, aren't they? I think it'd be interesting to tap into that mentoring thing, because Armani, it sounds like it kind of like mentally helped you to get back into music. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. With the help that Whiskers and Scott have given me, it just helped me on the well-being side, and also like being confident in what I'm putting out there, because my lyrics and my content is usually like stuff that I would either say to myself or want to put positive vibes out there. So I needed that kind of confidence boost myself from Music Leeds, Whiskers and Scott, with the one-on-one sessions and just general advice, being able to talk to somebody about, should I put this out now, or when should I put this out, and what do you think about it? Even a second opinion on your music can really help. If you're not feeling it, like that second opinion from Music Leeds can mean the world, because they've, like Emma was saying, they've got all bases covered, so they know what's good and what's not, and when you should put your music out. So that gave me like the confidence I needed, really.
I think the music industry in general can be quite scary and really difficult to navigate, because I don't think people realize just how many elements there are to the music industry until you're kind of like thrown in, and people just expect you to kind of know what to do, and it's totally like fine to not know. So I think having that kind of mentoring there must be quite helpful, and just nice to have someone to chat to about it all, really, like a mate.
Yeah, definitely.
Jemma, what kind of help did you get out of the Launchpad?
So I had mentoring with Scott. Again, like everyone said, like absolutely amazing. And what we did was kind of figure out what was the next step. You know, we didn't come up with a massive plan. We just came up with what's the next step and what's going to be the most useful. So we had a music video coming out, and so he helped me email Loud Women who premiered it. And since then, like, I've got big opportunities from them, and I've made connections with them, and that's really important to me, to make that connection with them, because I've always been a fan of theirs. So I feel like that, you know, that help from Scott has now bridged something that'll last a long time. And then we also got money. The money was for funding an album, which we've started recording, but we've had to stop, obviously. But yeah, it's for our third album.
Amazing. How was the kind of application process? Because I've seen some for like various different other kind of organizations that offer funding and offer support, and they look pretty scary. How was the process for you? Linz, you've applied for loads.
Yeah, a lot. For Launchpad, I thought it was actually really instinctive, quite straightforward. I think it's quite open as well. Like, it's sort of open to really just tell your story a little bit and what you're wanting to do, who you are, what you're trying to do artistically, and you know, and then what your plan is. So you sort of do a bit of a written thing on like I think it was about your 2-year plan. And then you selected which opportunities you wanted, live, mentoring, recording, and then wrote a bit about why and what you would do with them. So it felt really straightforward. And I think, it felt like you still needed to know what you're about and what you want. You can't just be sort of too vague or just write a sentence or like, we're a rock band. Like, it's not really telling the funders anything to be too vague. So you still do need to know like who you are, what you want, and what you're planning and how you think you're going to do it, even if you don't quite know how, if you know what I mean. You still sort of have a vision of like what you're trying to do. I think with some of the other applications, and also it's worth saying that for Rebalance and for Help Musicians, there's opportunities. I think a lot more people are doing this now, where there's opportunities to apply via a video. So if it's not as accessible necessarily for a lot of people to be doing written applications. So actually, if you've got the opportunity to do a video application for some of these, that can be quite cool, because you can really get your point across and your personality across, which is quite nice. I think the Help Musicians one, again, was reasonably straightforward. You know, I'll hold my hands up and say we didn't get it the first time, and I think that was just a little bit of planning. I actually met with Help Musicians, had a chat with them about some advice, not to go through the actual application, but just to get some advice on things pointers and things I might have done a bit wrong. And then got some advice from Scott and Tony, and then applied again. So I think it's also worth saying, if you don't get something the first time, just keep going back in for it. Same with some of the Arts Council things. Like, it's not necessarily that you're not good enough, or, you know, it can give you a real knock if you don't get something, but it might just be that you're just not at the right point. I think like what Emma was saying about momentum from PRS, like that's definitely further down the line, bands with like management and teams behind them. And it's kind of trying to identify where you're at and which funding's right for you, I think, rather than just trying to apply for everything and then feeling rejected, because that can really be quite damaging for you, you know, personally and stuff. And actually, you've got to start to learn have a bit of a hard nose, and just keep trying and getting advice and help where you can.
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give to people that are applying? Armani, would you give any kind of like particular advice?
I'd just say go with your gut, like be yourself. As Linz was saying, like with the application being so easy and not so rigid, just be yourself and put forward your best self, and with your music as well. And just be honest, because even though if you might not make it the first time, you'll definitely, if you keep on trying again, you will get there. And if you're being yourself, and there's nothing that you can feel like is a loss, if that makes sense. So if you're just being yourself, I'd just say like just keep going and keep trying.
Would you both say the same, Jemma and Emma?
I would just like to say that none of that work is wasted. Even if you don't get the funding, none of that work is wasted. I've got to say, with the Help Musicians application, we found a little bit daunting, but what's amazing about it is it's almost like as you're writing the application, you're writing your business plan for the year. So once that's actually done, whether you get that funding or not, you've actually planned. So for us, even if we hadn't got the funding, we were lucky that we did, but if we hadn't, that would have been, we'd have had all our ducks in a row and be ready. So it's never wasted. Even if you don't get it, you'll use that for something else. And some of the stuff we did in the Launchpad application, we used for the Help Musicians application. So it's none of it's a waste of time. It's brilliant.
Just a quick copy and paste jobby.
Well, I'd like to. I wish. We have a lot more writing to do, but it really gets you. It does really get you thinking about what you're trying to achieve and who you are, because sometimes you can kind of get so caught up in just being really creative and doing that and making the music, and you don't actually sort of give that proper thought to where are we going, where do we actually want to be. So you are sat together in a room going, what do we want to achieve? What do we want to do? What are our aspirations? So for us, it was like, it was almost like a bit of self-help as well. And it just got us, it's just really focused as a band, that this whole process. I think even if we hadn't achieved any of the, the bids, we'd have, just from going through the process, it just focuses your mind on who you are as a band and what you want to do, what your ambitions are. So
did you have the same kind of feelings, Jemma?
Yeah, I guess like from what everyone said, like I think the applications that I've not gotten are the ones that I've not really known what I wanted, or I thought I knew, or the band that I were in, we thought we knew what we wanted, but we just didn't put it down well. So like making it as simple as possible, like, oh, we want this because of this, and then it's really easy to go from there. But sometimes I've made it like way too complicated or too like I can't think of the word, like metaphorical or just like not tangible. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think everything that you're all saying is so positive, and it's so nice to hear, because it's obviously not it's not ideal right now for anyone. And me and Linz were chatting earlier about some of the funding, because there is obviously funding available right now for artists that are obviously affected by the coronavirus crisis. If you do go to the Music Leads website, I think you just go to musicleads.com. There are 2 pages which will give you information to just for general funds, like all the Launchpad call out, and also some that's handy, isn't it? And also it will give you some, I think there's some applications to be able to get some stuff during the coronavirus crisis. So yeah, I think does anyone else have anything else that they want to say about the Music Leads Launchpad call out, and how you've kind of like benefited from it?
I didn't actually mention that we got the live opportunity as well. We played live in the square, in Millennium Square last summer. So that was really good fun. It was really good. And that was actually, I think, like what Jemma was saying, it was really nice to be a part of something that wasn't so genre specific. The 4 bands into the evening, including us, and it was like Tree Boy and Art, Bilge Pump, Cowtime, it was all kind of rocky stuff. But earlier in the day, there was like almost like, things ranging from sort of big band community project to jazz and solo artists. And that was like, it was just a really like nice day to be a part of.
Yeah, I think it is interesting to see, like, if you look at the artists that, well, the ones that you're all representing right now, they're completely different kind of artists. and you know, it's all come out of this same thing. It's really quite inspiring, actually. Are there any other things that you would suggest that artists should look out for right now? Obviously, we've talked a lot about like the Launchpad and help musicians and stuff, but is there anything that you think people should be looking out for? Linz, we'll start with. Oh no, Gemma's got a hand up.
Sorry. So previously with Frisco, we've gotten Manchester Jazz Festival Hot House scheme, and we're also on Jazz North Northern Line. So obviously these are kind of like jazz. They're kind of in the jazz world, but they're really open to crossing boundaries. So with the Manchester Jazz Festival Hot House, we actually got £2,000, and we funded a whole album. So I'd say even if you don't think you're that jazzy, I'd say just go for it anyway, because you might actually get it. Because a lot of people who wouldn't describe themselves as jazz got that one, and it's really easy to fill in as well.
I think there are. I'm pretty sure on the Music Leads website it does point to a lot of the other opportunities that there are. I can't see if anyone's asked any questions, so I'm just gonna see if Whisker's gonna pop up and let me know if there's been any cues asked. But yeah, I think if you're looking to kind of like if you're looking to kind of just like get more out of music and to find out more, check out the Music Leads website and all of the Launchpad stuff. Where have you kind of like looked to get this help? Is there anywhere specifically or any way that you found out about these schemes? Emma, is there anything that you kind of like, anything that jumps out to you?
It actually popped up on my Instagram randomly, so I don't know who was doing their marketing, but good job there. That's a launch. I was with you, Liz. Yeah, that just popped up. It was the most random thing on my Insta as an advert, and that's how we even became aware of it. Or it probably wouldn't have been on my radar. And then the opportunities, obviously, we got the advice from Whiskers, and he told us about Do It Differently. And then we met Joe. Can't remember how you pronounce his surname. I think it's Damer or Damer, I think. But he's amazing, and he's at Help Musicians, and such an approachable guy. I think the whole team are. If you have any questions for them, so you know, their website's really clear. Joe does blogs as well. So when we were filling in the Help Musicians, I mean, there's quite a lot of, we're talking about Do It Differently, me and Linz, but there's actually loads of different schemes for different purposes. So it's worth having a look because there's huge variety. But we wanted a lot of advice, but Joe gave amazing advice through Music Leads. We got these one-to-one sessions. And then we had Whiskers and Scott sort of giving us advice as well, but yeah, they're just really have a look. You can go to Help Musicians, independently, have a really good look on their website. They're just they're really slick, really credible. I've got to say, their industry experts that we've had sessions with have blown me away. Sort of when you've sat with them, they've when they do their introduction and go through their careers, kind of overwhelmingly impressive people who obviously know what they're talking about. So yeah, I would definitely go check out their website.
Was that your hand up, Linz? Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, I was just going to say a few more places that you can find out things. I think it's worth always signing up to mailing lists as well. So obviously there's the Music Leads mailing list, Help Musicians, like we've mentioned, but Arts Council website, PRS Foundation, PRS for Music, the Musicians Union. There's lots of different places to look. I think it's also worth mentioning another avenue of support, especially for the region, is Come Play With Me, who do artist submissions for 7 inches, which is kind of where we started with Magic Mountain. So Tony and those guys took a punt on us, and we released a 7-inch split single at the end of 2017. So that almost kind of started our journey and helped, we got a bit of radio play and stuff through that. So that helped us with our applications by being able to say, oh, we did this and we got a bit of radio play, and then we asked Tony to be a referee. That's one thing I was going to say actually, is if you are asked for a referee in anything, like find somebody that really like does believe in and know what you are about and like believes in what you're doing, but also give them plenty of warning. Like don't ask them the day before to give you a reference for an application, because that's not going to be good for anyone.
Okay, great. Apparently we've had a question from Jamie in Teesside. Hello. Has anyone, so his question is Centric worth signing up for? Does anyone have any experience with Centric on the panel?
Nope.
No, I don't either. I'm not an artist.
I'm signed up to Centric, but only recently, so it's very new to me.
Linz will get back to you on that, Jamie.
Yeah. But they also do have funding. I've seen that they've got a thing called the Artist Academy Fund, so you have to be a member of Centric to apply for that, which I've not actually investigated properly yet, but I'm going to. So that might be something as well.
Amazing. I think we'll. Oh, Jemma. Yeah.
Sorry, can I add on to the question before? Where I was just going to say Brighter Sound are really good, and actually some of the opportunities that they've given have like given and led on to more opportunities. So they do like this kind of thing where they pick a bunch of, well, you apply and then a bunch of artists get together and then collaborate with someone. And then also they actually post loads of job opportunities and stuff. So like what Liz was saying about mailing lists, is they're a really good one as well.
Amazing. Before we round up, I think if people, for people that are watching, if you've got like one bit of advice for either finding or just getting support, or just in general, really, just one bit of advice for anyone that's watching. We'll start with you, Linz.
That's hard. Just one bit. I'd probably say, can I do two? I'd probably say, like, know what you want, because that's what I've been asked about 5 times throughout each of the many processes and the people that we've come into contact with. It's always been, what do you want? And that's a really hard question to answer, but it's worth really spending the time thinking about that. And like Emma was saying, like, it's forced us as a band to sit down and go, like, what are we actually trying to do? Even though, you know, we've got all these songs, we've recorded an album, what are we actually trying to do? What do we enjoy? Where are we going with this? I think if you don't have a bit of an idea about that, you're not going to know what to write in your application. Yeah. So, yeah.
Emma?
I would say let's engage with your music community. If you want some advice, if you're not sure where to get the support, just put it out there on social media, and also ask if you've had some press, if you've got some fans who maybe write. I mean, we actually, to do it differently, got somebody to write our bio for us, because sometimes also it can be quite an embarrassing thing to do for yourself, talking about how awesome you are, so you can kind of commission somebody to do that for you, and just approach it. I would say just approach these things in a really business like fashion. I know it's quite boring, but when we were putting these things together, we were having team meetings, we were delegating and working together to do it. Really have that focus about it. Don't do it half-assed, and things can really happen for you if you approach it in that way.
Amazing. Armani, what's your bit of advice?
My bit of advice is to come across, like Emma was saying, just then come across as like a brand, as like a business, and know what you want, because you can be easily misled if you don't know what you want. And that goes the same for your music. Like, stick with what you're good at and don't follow other people as much. And another bit of advice is to keep close with like your music community, like Emma was saying, and your peers, and ask questions if you're not sure about something, and just get advice off them, because we're all in it together, really. So we're all trying to do the same thing. That's my advice.
Amazing. And Jemma?
Mine is like a bit more personal to me, but hopefully other people will relate. It's just about like caring less what people think that's always been my barrier. It's like caring too much what other people think of my music or how I put it out on social media. So that's what I'd say. And then I'd also say, like, try not, like, don't judge people on how they first appear, because usually people are like, especially musicians, we're all quite like, maybe we're nervous or we lack confidence. So like maybe that first impression isn't going to be the best. So I'd say.
Amazing. I think that's all we've got time for now. I mean, you can't really say that when no one really is doing anything else. But thanks for joining us. I hope you've learned. Yeah, it is. It really is. Yeah, I hope you've learned a lot. And the Launchpad applications, they're still open until the 20th of April. So if you want to apply like these guys did, then you've got 12 days to do so. Thanks so much, guys. Enjoy your beer.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.